You're listening to IBNX. IBNXradio.com.
All right, everybody, welcome to this Monday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice, and my correspondent,
Just Jazz.
That's the way you're going to do it?
Oh, Just Jazz.
So before we even start, we have to send a huge shout out to Just Jazz for graduating from college. We're so proud of her. Tell them you graduated with
A bachelor's in communication, summa cum laude. Is that how you pronounce it?
Sigma cum laude. Isn't it Sigma cum laude?
I don't know. The one at the top. That's all that matters. The highest one you can get.
Wait, you graduated Sigma cum laude?
Hmm?
Why you didn't tell me that?
I don't know. I didn't realize it was that big of a deal until my people started making that big of a deal.
Ma'am, that means you're at the top of your class. Like, that's a big deal.
Well,
like,
my grandma was like, why you ain't tell me?
How you don't tell anybody? Ma'am, that's like a huge thing. Like, oh, you're super smart. Okay, so you're like really smart now. So you're not on my level smart, but you're really smart now. So that's so kudos to Jazz. She's now an official graduate. So she walks in the studio and I said, so how does it feel to be a graduate? And she was like, I don't really know. It won't hit me yet. Well, when you get up to go to class and realize you don't have to do that anymore, it'll hit you. Or when Sally Mae calls you and be like, so congratulations. So here's your payments. This is gonna be XYZ. So again,
So if y'all are hiring to help me out with that, hit your girl up. LinkedIn, Jazz Ross.
You know what?
1, 2, 3.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's what's after.
This is what I have to deal with on a Monday to Monday basis. All right, so there has been some interesting things that happened over the weekend. Trying to think, where do you want to start? Actually, you can start since you graduated. You get to start. So what you got?
We're gonna talk about Chick-fil-A. You know, everybody's favorite restaurant.
Okay, first of all, that's a very strong statement.
Well, it's not my favorite restaurant, but I know it's a lot of people's favorites. Like,
well, it's not even your favorite. Then why would you say everybody's favorite restaurant?
I always hear good things about them. I rarely hear anything negative. So it's like, even if you don't like Chick-fil-A like that, you're going to probably speak positive about them. Needless to say, they are looking to explore a vegan menu option. So if you guys remember, Burger King has the Impossible Burger. Supposedly, McDonald's is experimenting with its own vegetarian substitute. I haven't heard about that. And now Chick-fil-A is joining the whole crew. So what do you feel about that?
I mean, what are they offering? Like, what are they looking at? Like,
somebody brought it up. They were saying, like, you guys don't serve burgers like everybody else. So what is this menu going to look like? And they were saying a potential substitute for the chicken sandwiches, something that would be protein-like. But I'm like, isn't protein meat?
No, you can get protein from other stuff. Apparently, you can get protein from fish. There are certain things, I think, like beans. Because for people who are vegetarians, I think they eat, like, beans. I know that's one. And there's some other stuff that actually gives you protein. We're just groomed to think that it's meat because I thought the same thing. And then it was like, yeah, no. You can get it from other stuff. I know beans is on that list, but I pick at my friends that are vegan, so I don't really pay attention when they talk.
Well, according to Norris, whoever Norris is, they don't really say who he is. The restaurant's been conducting its research on vegan options and meat substitutes for a few years now. Ultimately, she told the Insider, I think it goes back to how far will our customers want us to go. But it's likely the chain will go beyond meatless salads and wraps, perhaps towards some kind of alternative protein on a sandwich. So if you like Chick-fil-A and you want to be a vegetarian, look into it.
Well, here's the thing. All right, so everything has come and gone as fads. So, you know, one time being a vegan was that's what I call Trish. Being a vegan was a fad. You know, people kind of talked about it, but nobody actually really did it per se. So to see it now actually become a lifestyle to the point that now fast food places are actually having to experiment with it is actually kind of interesting to me. Cause
maybe America won't be so obese anymore. You think so?
I know, because there'll be people like me who like, I'm not giving up meat and I'm not giving up everything.
You're right.
Else
That's me. I'm not giving up my meat. I'm
not
not giving up chicken. Sorry.
I'm not into it like that. So, I mean, I'm going to continue to eat my meat.
I'm sorry.
But, you know, there are people who are a thing. But, again, I think that's the pattern that we're seeing is that things that would have normally been a fad and because I need to make that clarification before I say what I'm getting ready to say next. Things have been strongly recommended, but not actually followed through on. It's interesting for those things to actually be followed through on.
Chick-fil-A gonna do this. You know, the people love Chick-fil-A.
But they're not the only ones. I mean, it's Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A will change your tire if you ask them to. So, like, they're talking about how
really?
Yes, people love them some Chick-fil-A. They're always out there in the rain. You know, with their little umbrellas. They go above and beyond for their customers. So,
but I guess that's the question, though, because when you really think about it, Chick-fil-A is a chicken place. It's a chicken spot. I wonder. The question becomes, how did they get to be Chick-fil-A when there are other people that only sell chicken? Zaxby's only really sells chicken. KFC sells chicken. Bohangli's. My sister calls it. That's so funny. They sell chicken. So it's like, how did Chick-fil-A become the premier seller of chicken? There are so many other chicken joints.
Well,
but they have a class. Is actually, I will compare them to Starbucks. I tell people all the time, for marketing majors, if you ever need a case study, always look at Starbucks. Starbucks is an amazing case study because they have groomed people and created such a culture that when people see somebody walking around with a Starbucks cup, it's associated with class. So you have a little class on you if you're walking around with a Starbucks cup, especially if you have one of those plastic Starbucks cup. People are just like, oh, they got a little class about it. They can't walk around with the Starbucks cups. It's so bad that even when it's 100-degree weather, people are still going to Starbucks. And they're not getting iced coffee. They're actually getting coffee. They're like, oh, my God, I need my morning fix. Dude, it's 100 degrees outside. Why do you need coffee?
Well, I don't drink coffee, so their little impact didn't make this way to me, so.
I think you feel special because you said
But,
that.
you know, this is a good look for Chick-fil-A because, you know, Burger King was like under backlash for their IDGAF burgers and stuff like that.
Which is absolutely.
You weren't a fan of it, but I was here for Burger King. I was here for it.
It's ridiculous. I don't understand. So you're going to make food that
people eat when they're emotional.
So you're going to...
It was cool. I was down for it, Burger King.
Okay, well, fine. Did you go buy one yet?
It's not in our Burger Kings. I thought it was with like specific Burger Kings.
Oh, so it's a test run. So they do it only in certain markets.
Had I been in the location, you know what? I probably would have.
Probably or would have.
I don't eat Burger King like that, so.
But you're so head over heels because you saw the
name of it. Cool. I like the whole concept. McDonald's, y'all got to do a little bit. I ain't heard nothing about this little vegetarian substitute abroad thing that y'all are doing. But then again, y'all don't. Nobody likes y'all. Sorry. So.
You and all these generalizations. I actually
love McDonald's. Wait, as a kid, people did, but you know the ice cream machine never worked. The customer service, she always got an attitude when I asked her for some napkins or what ketchup. I'm like, that's all I want. So,
actually, that's a very good question. So, and I'll put this out there. So, do we really feel like that the customer service of Chick-fil-A has really risen them above it? Because it can't solely be food, because there are plenty of people that offer chicken selections. So does customer service really make that big of a difference in fast food?
I think so.
I mean, think about it. I hear people say all the time, well, I'll go to Chick-fil-A because, you know, their drive-thru is always working. I can always get a milkshake. They're always pleasant. They're always polite. But is that really?
One time they put Jasmine on my ticket.
You still mad about that?
But
you still hold
I'm going to let that go. Maybe it was just that Chick-fil-A because it was the one off of Wesley Chapel. So I'm going to just let that go.
Well, I mean. But I guess that's a legitimate question. Is the customer service really what makes the difference between Chick-fil-A and all the other fast food places? Because when you talk about Chick-fil-A is still technically a fast food place. It has a drive-through window. You can go there, you get your food in the bag and drive off. So technically, Chick-fil-A is a fast food joint. But the distinction cannot be food because they're not the only people that offer just chicken selections.
Well, do other restaurants do like the little deals like they also do? Because like I've never had a bad experience at Zaxby's. Like the customer service there is nice. So, you know, Chick-fil-A, or I can get a free milkshake or a cookie at this time of the day or whatever. So does everybody do that? I don't recall everybody doing it.
I don't think so, but I didn't know Chick-fil-A did that. But I'm not an avid Chick-fil-A eater. Also, Chick-fil-A is higher than most of these fast food places we're talking about.
Zaxby's is also higher too, though.
Zaxby's is okay. I can deal with Zaxby's because you can get a big Zax snack for about $6 or $7. I do it all the time. Chick-fil-A, If I get the grilled chicken sandwich I really want, that's $10.
Right, because like I get the number one with no pickles with a vanilla milkshake. That's about $9.
I'm telling you, so they're technically a fast food place, but their prices are almost restaurant prices. I can go sit down at
and get a
Cracker Barrel and get a good meal.
Cracker Barrel.
And yes,
can we use something else?
I like Cracker Barrel.
I don't.
Well, I served at Cracker Barrel, so it was the first thing that came to my head. So Chick-fil-A has fast food service, but they almost offer restaurant prices. Because like I said, they're a good meal.
Service is great. People just be like, so.
So you really think that customer service makes that big of a deal?
I feel like they have a lot of clout around their name. Like their name holds weight. They're like the Beyonce of fast food.
How we get Beyonce?
They are essentially like you'll see people like, no, Chick-fil-A didn't do that. So yeah. Like, somebody probably don't believe me when I tell them that they got my name wrong. Somebody's probably like, no, Jazz, you're telling a lie.
That's because most people don't know anybody that's named Jazz that's not connected
but
to
they'll
Jasmine.
still, okay, but you know, the whole idea is they'll never make a mistake at Chick-fil-A. So somebody was probably like, Jazz, stop lying.
I'm just saying. Now that I pose that question, it's actually something I will probably have to ponder later on. Like, for me, it doesn't make a difference because there's a certain level of expectation that I have when I go to certain places. Like when I go to McDonald's, I don't necessarily expect to have a great experience. As long as the drive-thru person isn't throwing my bag in my car or throwing a drink on me.
Speaking of that, let me tell you about my experience at the McDonald's in Tuskegee. Me and my boyfriend, where were we coming from? Some event at school, and we all decided, like, let's go to McDonald's. So we ordered our food or whatever, and we paid for it at the first window. But while we were ordering our food, we heard a little, noises and stuff going on.
They fighting.
And so then we pull up to the second window and nobody was coming. And then we see a little tussling going on in the background. I said, they fighting. Yes, they are fighting. The man on the other side of the counter trying to break it up. It was embarrassing. I said, oh my God.
Wait, it was the employees or was?
It was the employees.
Oh my God.
They were fighting at McDonald's. I said, oh my gosh. Needless to say, we were never going to get our food had my boyfriend not opened the window and got it for us. So we got the food and we drove off. We paid for it, though. We didn't steal it.
How? They were fighting. How y'all pay for it?
At the first window. It's the first window where you pay for it. And then the second window, you pick up your food.
Oh, so somebody took time to go get the money, but nobody took the time
but that was going in back then. And ever since then, I have not been to McDonald's. At that McDonald's, at least.
Now, I mean, look, again, we get into trends. Because remember, there was some I don't know if you were on air yet. Some weeks ago, I did a story on Taco Bell workers fought a customer. Like, I forgot what they were doing it for, but they literally was beating them up. The guy was a couple, and I don't know, I can't remember what happened. But I don't think they actually invoked it. I think the people, the employees were mad about something, and they came in and asked for something extra, and they just went to fight them in the parking lot.
They wanted all the smoke.
And let's not get into the Waffle House debacles we see numerously with people fighting in Waffle Houses. And
I ain't never experienced that.
It
was just a video the other day of this woman and this other lady going back and forth at McDonald's. I don't know what caused that, but she called the lady bald headed, and she really was bald. Like, you know how people just say you bald headed, but no, like she legit was like bald. She had no hair.
I mean, you can't go around saying that people are bald. Like, I don't care if they are bald, especially women.
That was funny. She was like, yo, bald headed. And then she used the A word. But it was funny. I was like, oh my gosh, she actually bald headed.
Oh my God, you would think that was funny. I'm concerned. You would.
That was funny.
That was funny. I mean, okay, so for all the Facebook listeners, that is a question. If you can go to IBNX Radio, or you can go to my personal page at Ricardo Ricky Rice, WRIC. There's a live feed that's going. So I would love to get your opinions on, does customer service make a difference in your fast food experience? Meaning, do you not go to McDonald's because, McDonald's is not going to give you a great experience? Or does it just not matter? Like I said, for me, it just doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, for me personally, it doesn't matter. But, I'm just stating what I always hear people say. Like, if I go to McDonald's and my burger is straight, just double cheeseburger with cheese and only ketchup, I'm good.
I mean, I'm just saying that again, I have a certain level of expectation. And me and my friend was talking about this the other day. It's just like, so I have a sister, and she's going to kill me, but I don't care. I have a sister who has she likes steak, but she does not like she doesn't like to pay for steak. So we'll go to like Chili's or something, she'll order a steak, and then she'll be expecting to be the creme de la creme. I'm like, we came to Chili's, and you expect your steak to be a porterhouse that's wait a minute now, Mr. Ricardo.
People are very particular about their steaks. My grandmother is like that, which has been passed down to me because I like my steak to be done medium. And when it's overly cooked, yes, I have a problem with it because it's not that hard to do. So I feel the same way that your sister feels. She should have expectations for her steak. If she asks for it a certain way, don't come out here with this. That's not cool.
That is absolutely ludicrous.
It is not ludicrous. It's steak.
Chili's is not a steak house.
We know it's not a steak house,
So
but
what are you
if
expecting?
I ask, for you to cook it at the right temperature or however I want it to be done.
What?
Yes. So, okay, you do you.
That makes no
I
sense.
remember last week y'all was talking about this. I'm not going out to eat with you.
It makes no sense. So you gonna go to Chili's or Applebee's and expect for a $15 meal, which happens to be steak, to be made with the same love and affection that a $30 steak is gonna have, that you're gonna get from what's the name of the place? It's on the tip of my tongue. Ruth Chris.
No, but you still expect it to be decent, nicely cooked. If you giving me this and then I get this, it's like way on the other end of the spectrum. That's not cool, and that's anywhere where you go.
Your ideology is not Earth ideology. You signed my sister.
Well, like I said, I ain't going out to eat with you. It's cool.
It's foolishness. Like that. You know what? This is where we get into all these distinctions when we have unrealistic expectations.
That is not unrealistic.
That is like me going to McDonald's and expecting when I order.
No, that is not the same thing. McDonald's is fast food.
Chili's is pretty much fast food for the restaurant chains.
Is it?
Think about it. Isn't it?
I'm trying to think of another restaurant.
Isn't it?
Let's say Ruby Tuesdays.
You do realize that price-wise, they're pretty much on the same wavelength.
People go to Chili's before they go to Ruby Tuesdays, though.
People will do that because they want to be less expensive. Because Chili's has the 2-people meal menus where two people can eat for such and so on and so forth.
Applebee's 2 for $20. Shout out to them.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's that foolishness.
It is not foolishness when you are in college.
Ruby Tuesdays, I don't think they offer stuff like that. They might, but I don't think they really offer stuff like that.
I don't go to neither one of them like that. So
I'm just saying, but it's ludicrous.
It's not ludicrous.
To go to places
it's not ludicrous.
And have higher expectations.
I am sure the chef always tells his cooks or whatever to cook the things properly. I'm sure that's how it is. Anywhere you work.
Okay, Joseph is shaking his head. Again, to have the expectations that you should have a phenomenal steak experience at Chili's.
Nobody is saying phenomenal, but cook it how I wanted it to be cooked.
That is like the highest head voice I've ever heard you talking. I've never heard you go that high.
Don't give me no well-done steak and I ask for medium. That's it. That's not hard.
You do realize that the cooks that cook your steak are probably the same cooks that are flipping burgers and
well,
making
you know
shrimp.
what? I'm just trying to do the right thing. Your sister has the right to feel. Yes, she does.
She can when she's not with me. My point was,
which is why nobody's eating with you.
You know what? Everybody wants to eat. Man, I'm popular. I'm the cool kid. My point is that sometimes we have unrealistic expectations. And actually, I'm going to reference this to business. To have it has to be a realistic expectation for what you're trying to do. So you can't say that, and this is where we get into disparities with pay and what people should get paid. You know, you got to have a realistic expectation when you go to certain places. Like we said, when I go to McDonald's, if I really, really, really want a milkshake, I'm probably not going to McDonald's because the ideology is, or the likelihood that their shake machine is working, it's not very high. So if I really want a milkshake, I'm probably going someplace else because the expectation is not going to be there for a milkshake.
You cannot sit up here and compare McDonald's and Chili's and act like they on the same level. I have never heard that type of comparison. Never.
Okay, well, fine. In the same regard, I would not go to Chili's and expect to get a phenomenal steak experience. They're not a steakhouse.
Nobody is saying it has to be phenomenal. That's the problem. We're just asking you to give me my steak how I asked for it to be cooked. That's not hard.
See, we get back to expectations.
That's not
That's
so you want me some raw chicken?
I don't like chicken.
It's the saying, okay, well, you get the point. You want your chicken to be done right? Right.
Okay.
You want your steak to be done too.
So are you saying that your steak is just about temperature, it's not about quality or texture or anything like that? Just be cooked right.
Because yes, that all comes into play. The temperature and all that quality. Yes. Yes.
Unreal expectations.
Okay.
You expect to have a $20 experience on a $15 budget.
Well, you know what? When I went to Longhorns, my steak was awesome, and it was not $35.
How much was your steak?
I don't know, but I know it wasn't no $35 because we went to 8 there. It was just me 20. And my boyfriend.
It was over 20, I'm sure.
No, it was not because I got an 8 ounce.
Oh, okay.
So, exactly. One. And it was great. So that's all I'm saying. So you can have some expectations.
Like I said, you can, but they have to be realistic expectations about where you're going. Like I said, I don't go to McDonald's and expect to get a milkshake if I really, really want one, because the expectation is the milkshake machine is probably not working. So I'm gonna be really upset, and then I'm gonna take it out on the person at the window, and it's just not gonna end well. Then we're gonna be the ones fighting and scrapping inside the McDonald's building. So I just say you gotta have realistic expectations.
Okay. And her expectations are realistic. That's the problem that we're having right now. You're acting like they're just not realistic. But moving on.
I'm over you. And on that note, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we're going to get into this and other current events on Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
It's a real simple process, this love thing. I tell you, that's why tell it right here. I said, you feeling me and I'm feeling you. What we gonna do? Shut up and group. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up and group. When you listen to your boy right here, that's when everything started to go right for you. Come on, you know you're happy. I'm telling you, this thing real easy. All you gotta do is catch that groove and it drop on you. You know what I'm saying? Alright, I'm sick of all this talking, girl. I told you, it's real simple. It's a real simple equation. Let me tell you this for you one more time. You feeling me and I'm feeling you. What we gonna do? Shut up. Shut it. What we're gonna do? We go hard.
All right, everybody, we are back on this Monday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice, and my correspondent,
Just Jazz.
All right, so when we left, we were discussing a very interesting question, which was, does customer service make a difference when you are having a fast food experience? I think me and Jazz both agree that it really doesn't make a difference as long as people aren't throwing my food at me when I pull up the drive-through window and they're actually handing me my bag. You know, she have a little aggression, and when she hands me the bag, it's perfectly fine with me. Like I have lived the life of working fast food, so I get it. I understand how it is, so I'm okay with that. Like I said, as long as you're not throwing my bag at me when I pull up at the window or throwing my drink on me, I'm good. I can live with it. But you know, the question came up because Chick-fil-A has been exemplary apparently in its customer service to the point where it gets awards and people are really talking about the experience that they have when they go to a Chick-fil-A. And there's such a culture that is around Chick-fil-A that people will go to Chick-fil-A just because they can have a good experience. So that's what brought the question up. You know, does that make a difference nowadays? Because like I said, Chick-fil-A just serves chicken. I mean, they serve chicken. Bohogli serves chickens, which is Bojangles. Bohogli serves, that's a shout out to my sister Felicia. Bojangles serves chicken. KFC serves chicken. Zaxby serves chicken. So what really makes a difference in Chick-fil-A? But segue into Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A always does come under fire because they have a very strong Christian belief system. And that Christian belief system has gotten them in hot water sometimes, especially when they start having conversations about LGBTQ community because they're a very Christian-based community. And when it comes to LGBT communities, they pretty much stand firm that they believe when it comes to marriage and things of that magnitude, that they believe that that's between a man and a woman. So they say it not overtly, and they really try not to get into politics, but if it comes up, they have gotten in trouble about that. So keeping with that spirit, apparently there was a bill that was introduced in Texas that was called the Save Chick-fil-A bill. And kind of the ideology behind the bill was to kind of prohibit the government from taking adverse action against any individual or businesses based on membership, support, or donations to religious groups. And it was kind of based off Chick-fil-A was not allowed to put a facility in a San Antonio International Airport. So they were not allowed to, because, you know, when you go to airports, they have all the little eateries. So you see little smaller divisions of places like McDonald's, Burger King. So Chick-fil-A was not allowed to put a facility in this San Antonio Airport based on, I guess, their exclusionary practices or just their ideologies. So because of that, that's what kind of spurred this bill that kind of said government cannot do these kinds of actions against companies or individuals because of their belief. Because, again, Chick-fil-A is very strong in their beliefs. They're not open on Sundays, things of that magnitude. So they're very strong in their beliefs. And I guess their belief system is what kept them out of being allowed to put a facility in this particular airport. So what are your thoughts? I mean, what do you think? Is that a... that's a thought? I mean, what is your thought? I mean... It's kind of the ideology of when people boycott places, businesses.
Take your business elsewhere. Your money elsewhere.
You sound like Kyle. That's the same discussion we had the Friday before that. And we were talking about, actually, I think that was this Friday. We were talking about Zeta Phi Beta and them not accepting transgenders.
Okay. What you're not going to do is make me seem like I'm with Kyle on that side.
I'm just saying. That's but y'all have to be careful when y'all make that statement. Because it's like when we were talking about Zeta Phi Beta, which I don't take a stance either way, but they were saying that Zeta Phi Beta will not accept transgender people in their Greek organization, and Kyle's ideology was, well, why don't they just go start their own? I get it, but like I told him, it's the same ideology when we talk about African Americans and civil rights.
I just feel like they were just straight up saying we're not humans. Like, I feel like that's completely different.
No, their ideology was, we don't want to share stuff with you. Now, they did do some weird math that kind of came with that. We're fractions of people. But it's still the same ideology, because if we would have accepted that, and when they said, we don't want you sharing our water fountain, we'll build you one because we think you should have water. We just don't think your water should come from our fountain. So we'll build you your own fountain. It might be 2 miles down the road, but we'll build you your own fountain because we don't think you should share ours. But we still feel like you have a right to water. Just not water out of our fountain. It sounds crazy, but that was the thought process, because they still felt like we should have water.
Those are not the same.
They are the same thing. So in that example of using Zeta Phi Beta and talking about transgender, they're saying you have a place. Your place just isn't with us.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I feel like I'm in the middle.
I mean, I want to hear your opinion. I mean, because I made Kyle stand his ground.
Because I just don't think those are the same things.
Because?
Again, to me, the whole race thing is, you're saying like I'm not a human at all. Like that's what that.
They didn't say that. They felt like
the math was coming down to it. To say
but they felt like we were entitled to things. They just felt like we wasn't entitled to the same things. So again, using the water fountain example, they didn't deprive us of water. They said you should have water. Your water just shouldn't come out of our water fountain. So we'll build you one.
What is so bad about them creating their own fraternity or sorority? What's so bad about that? And you kept talking about that, like it's not going to have the same.
It's not, because you got to remember these.
But the same thing with D9. They wasn't all that when they first started, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you're talking about in like the early 1900s.
We have to start somewhere. Nothing happens overnight.
Well, now that's the other side of the argument, that if you do,
are you really down for it? Like, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's really down to do that. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong.
That's, again, I don't have a dog in this fight, but I understand why they want to be a part of Divine Nine. You got to remember not only how old these organizations are, but you also have to remember why these organizations was founded and what's at the foundation of these organizations. You know, you're talking about when I pray I don't get this wrong, but when you think about people like Martin Luther, I think I remember it. Martin Luther King, I think, was an alpha.
Yes.
So when you think about, that their legacies stem from people like Martin Luther King being significant members, if not founders. I won't say that. I won't say that because I'm not sure. But people like Martin Luther King being at the core of your organization and it being built off principles that are that strong, it means something significant.
The same thing can happen with theirs.
Yeah, but okay.
You
gotta look again. I'm trying to get you to see how these things are built. Like, they're built off a strong foundation of people who have made differences in the world. So trying to start a transgendered Greek organization, who are you going to start it with that has the same level of clout like Martin Luther King? That's actually what I was thinking. But I don't know if Laverne Cox is ever going to college. Like, Martin Luther King and all of them, they went to college, and this was an intricate part of their collegiate experience. I don't think Laverne Cox is a media person. So you're talking about, like, somebody who's actually had the college experience, going back and having been Greek in some form, being able to, create something like this.
Well,
so it's a whole different ballgame.
I don't know. I don't think we can ever satisfy people.
Well, I always say about the table getting longer and us trying to put settings out for 2,500 people when we start saying everybody can sit to the table. So I get it. And I use the example, I was showing to my cousin the other day at the dinner yesterday. I was like, yeah, there was a whole debacle with the, who?
Laverne.
Where?
Indiana University at Bloomington.
Is that HBCU?
No.
Most of these will start at HBCUs.
I know that. But
Just saying.
so now the sorority and fraternity, it has to start at HBCU. It has to.
I mean, like, okay,
it has to.
People have done it. I mean, because I know, well, she's not transgender, but she started her own organization, Monique, I think McAllister. She started her own organization for Christian women. There's a Greek organization for Christian men. It's just, I get it. I mean, I get it. But then it's kind of, it's a funny road because you get into, I'll say some of the Greek organizations say we're not even dealing with the transgender thing, but then you get in HBCU colleges that are saying, but we will. So you get into Morehouse, which created the transgender enrollment that starts, I think, in 2020. Spelman and Agnes Scott have done their transgender enrollment. So it's kind of a funny road that you start walking.
It's a funny road, period, because I know, like, the organizations at HBCUs, like, sometimes people feel a little funny when they let people who are not black into their organizations. Like, that's always been a conversation, too. So it's just a whole tricky road.
Like, actually, it's interesting that
I know a girl, she was like, I mean, this is my organization and all, but it's just weird. I don't feel like they should be a part of my organization. Like, that was started for us. So you always get into those, like, types of conversations. Like, who are we going to let in? Like, so if they weren't letting people of different races come in, I could definitely see. Well, not to say they're not letting people come in, but you have those people looking at you sideways. Like, really? You couldn't go to whatever the other, I don't know their names. The ones at the PW, they have a lot. I don't know their names, but you have people like, why you didn't join that? Why you had to come here and do this or so?
That's you have to expound. That's interesting to me because so you feel like, and neither one of us are Greek, so this is a totally sideline conversation for all my Greek cousins and friends. You know, y'all are welcome to chime in on my Facebook Live, but yeah, because we're not Greek, but because I actually know people. When I went to Coastal, there was a guy who was not African American who was in Alpha. And he was actually very involved in Alpha. And I think his ideology was he respected what Alpha stood for at its core. And he felt like he identified with their core belief system. You don't think that's a valid reason to accept him?
I think that's a valid reason. But I'm just saying, I've heard people say, like, why are they in, like, why do they feel the need to come to our organizations when they have X, Y amount of Z of other organizations? So,
well, I mean, okay, so if you look at the culture of African American Greeks organizations versus non-African American organizations, which at this point it escapes me what we call these things, and I worked in student activity, so I knew this terminology. But most of the time, African American organizations were based off of like the people that we talked about, Martin Luther King and all those great people who were not privy to have a lot of money. When you talk about the non-African American ones, we think that they are based off people who, you know, because when we think about non-African American fraternities, because I went to school and I actually saw this, a lot of them do some crazy things, and they do have access to a lot of resources that other, I would say, organizations don't have access to. But if we're talking about not every non-African American individual is privy to a trust fund or privy to, you know, have money, can't they be lumped into a class's ideology, which would make them a prime candidate to be a part of a Greek organization that is African American? If, you know, a lot of them are not privy to a plethora of resources, most of the time that's money.
Let's hear this discussion. I want to hear it. I'm telling you, we talked about that in my communication ethics class one time. I was just like,
what?
That question right there. They were like, so do you guys feel comfortable with people who are not African American being in your organization? And it was just, I feel like people were stepping on eggshells.
I mean,
it would be a very interesting conversation.
Well, I mean, I guess, but then you have to get into it. Okay, so if a African American joins a non-African American Greek organization, are they walking on eggshells too? Because I mean,
I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same concept.
What do you mean?
Like, no, you're saying like if I were to go join, I don't know, a PWI's organization you talking about.
Yeah, how it would be for you.
I don't think. Well, I feel like that goes back to. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna. That's kind of stereotypical.
No, I mean, we want to have this conversation. I will not because
I feel like people who typically do that, they didn't really relate to like their black side. I want to say like they just felt like they were never included in being with black people and stuff like that's usually people like who do that. I feel like it because it's like a girl I went to school with. She was like, I don't date black people, and then she joins that type of organization and stuff. So I feel like that just those people typically feel like they don't feel included with their own blackness.
So you wait.
I really do.
So then, how do you feel about non-African American people going to HBCUs? Because they do that.
Yeah, I know we have. Look at graduation. It was a lot of them.
So I mean,
it really was. But
So I mean, how do
it doesn't bother me personally. Like it doesn't bother me. Like some things just really bother people. That does not bother me. Like maybe you wanted to go here. Who am I to tell you can't go here?
But you just said when it comes to Greek life that you don't feel like they should.
Because I'm just saying, based off experience of the people I know who joined those, or they like those are usually the people who are like, I don't date black people, or I don't want my kid to be like this, and like I'm being dead serious. So I don't know anybody, should I say, like me, and when I say like me, who's accepting that they're black and enjoys being black, and I don't know anybody like me who's just joined that type of organization.
So have you ever considered joining a Greek organization?
Yeah, but it was a D9 organization.
That's an interesting take. I mean, I guess because now that we no longer associate, and we talk about the term minority all the time. So we no longer associate minority with just black people. Now minority covers anybody that's technically a minority, and that now covers your sexual preference, your ethnicity, depending on where you are, because that story me and Simone did some months ago about the Asians having a lawsuit against Harvard because they felt like they were discriminated against, and they were put under the minority on that particular campus because they actually were. The ideology now that there's no longer a huge divide between African Americans and other ethnicity, because now we get kind of lumped into your economic standing. So now, when we talk about other ethnicities living right on the poverty line, it makes a difference because, like I said, it's no longer just African Americans that are looked at as a socioeconomic issue. It can go across the board now. So given that has changed, should our ideology change on, the things that we hold near and dear? Because we're no longer just the people considered to be sitting on the poverty line.
I see this argument all the time in the comment section. I really do. And I just be scrolling and I don't comment because then next thing you know, I'm a bitch and I don't got no education. People love to go in on your social media. So I just, that's what you think.
I mean, it's something to consider because, like I said, we literally live in a different time, and certain terminology, and I say this all the time. We have to be mindful of the terminology we use because words that used to mean something don't necessarily mean that same thing now. So, like I said, and using the case in point, minority, you can't. When people say minority, it used to be like, oh, black folk. Now it's like, who we talking about? Because when we say minority, who we talking about?
Hispanics, Asian, black people,
transgendered.
LGBTQ+.
I mean, it's a very broad spectrum when you use the term minority. So it's something to think about. But you know what? That is a good idea. Maybe I will extend invitations to my Divine Nine friends and actually have a conversation about, how do we feel? That's like when we had I just saw a little while ago that there's a non-African American individual who was the head of a chapter of an NAACP. I was a little thrown.
Girl, they threw a fit when they found out.
Oh, Rachel Dozer. I mean, but that is something to think about. Like, is that off-putting if you find out that, we'll say, a Caucasian individual is in charge of the NAACP? I'm not going to lie. That would catch me off guard. Only because of what NAACP stands for. The National Association of Advancement of Colored People.
You're not
so
colored.
that is a very interesting ideology, and that's not to minimize other ethnicities' experiences, but that organization is specifically designed for the advancement of colored people. So that would be.
Topics are always interesting to me because the newest thing right now is the whole Kim K situation. people don't realize that she has the black lawyers doing it. Some people are mad about that. They're like, she's taking all the shine for it. She's not putting any recognitions towards those 2 black women lawyers. But then she made a post, the 2 lawyers, they were like, we don't care, Kim, don't put our name out there. She's helping us, the funding and all that. But people are still mad at the fact that Kim's not saying, oh, these are the people who are really getting these people out of jail and stuff like that. Or you have people who are just mad that Kim's doing that. So
I will say that is a little off-putting to me as well. And at the end of the day, the fact that it's getting done is really honestly all that matters. That's if we're honest about it,
yeah,
that's really all that matters. But the question becomes, why wasn't anybody able to get it done? That becomes the real question. Why did it take Kim Kardashian to step up to be able to get this done? That becomes my question. So what are we missing? Are we missing the resources? Are we missing the money? Because if that's the case, now we have a legitimate conversation that we do need to start having with our African American.
Somebody was like, Al ain't did nothing. They was talking about that in the comment section. Just all these big black figures that are like, well, Kim is out here doing it. What y'all doing?
But again, we do have to know the variables, because again, if it boils down to money and resources, the reality is Kim does have it. She's a Kardashian. They have the money and the resources to get it done. If it boils down to being able to assemble a team to get it done, that's a whole nother argument. Then the question becomes, why couldn't enough African Americans get on one page to get this done?
They don't want to hear that.
But those are 2 distinctly different conversations. Because again, if we're talking about money and resources, yeah, then Kim is going to be the one to get it done because she has the money. If it's about being able to assemble a team to get the job done, why couldn't enough African Americans get on one page to get it done? So that becomes the question. So you got to know the variables, because 2 different sets of variables require 2 different types of conversations. Again, for me, it's very interesting, but I'm guilty of having the old mindset of who Kim Kardashian is. I only know her as some glam girl who got lucky because she made a video and her last name happens to be Kardashian, and her dad was the forerunner for the law team for O.J. Simpson. Outside of that, I don't know her to do much outside of be a Kardashian. But if she's willing to use her celebrity to actually step up and get something done of this magnitude, I can't knock it, but I do have.
I don't like when people knock her down for that, because like we said, at the end of the day, it's getting done. I don't think the person who was sitting in prison, they do not care who got them out. They out.
Absolutely.
That's what I feel like it all boils down to. So I personally don't like when people like, Kim do it. She's just doing this for clout, and somebody benefited from it.
Well, I think it was Simone that made the point, because I'm not gonna lie, that was my thought. I was like, why is she doing this? She never cared before. But then I think Simone made the point, or either it was Double R, that
about
she
her
has,
that
she has
and you know what?
African American children. I was
like, well, you know what? That it probably, because I watched an episode, and North was like, "What do you do?" And she was like,
I mean, it's a legitimate question.
Was like, you said what Daddy do, but what you do? So,
I mean, it's a legitimate question. But when you start having racial conversations, especially when there are biracial kids involved, it should give you a different stance on things, because your child, and I think I've glanced those kids, but in an American society, if your kids look black, they're typically pegged as black. That's just the reality of it. Your kids are pegged as black. So, having biracial kids, whether one of the parental figures be white and the other one be black, or whatever the ethnicities are, it should give you another perspective on how that particular race has to deal with life. And given the situation we were talking about with Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, one happens to... Is Kim Kardashian white?
Mm-hmm. Armenian.
Okay, so she's not black. So, having a mother figure who's not African American, but having a father who's African American, and you actually look African American, in our society, you're black. So you now will probably have to live a life as an African American, which is a whole different ball game than a lot of other ethnicities. So it is something to think about. And like I said, I didn't think about that until Simone or Double R, whoever brought it up, because it was like, I was like, well, why does she all of a sudden have an interest in this? Because you're a makeup and whatever you do.
I used to play the video game. It was lit.
They had a video game?
Yes.
Okay.
It was called Kim Kardashian Hollywood. It still is. She's advanced on it a lot, but I got a new iPhone and it didn't transfer over and all, so I just stopped playing it. I don't want to start from the bottom.
I'm concerned.
But I like the game.
But again, that's a conversation and a legitimate conversation to have. So, now that she does have African American kids, that is something that her kids are going to have to wrestle with, even though they will probably have money. But, it doesn't matter. We see it every day, especially now. People who have money and clout, you get up a situation that you happen to be African American, it may or may not go well. Doesn't matter who you are. So, but at the end of the day, like you said, as long as it's getting done, that's all that really matters. But there still has to be conversations about why we were not able to get it done. Because they are our sisters and brothers sitting behind bars, and there are people who actually have studied criminal law and things of that magnitude. And if we came together collectively, why wasn't that enough to get the job done? That's neither here nor there. So we're going to take our second break, and when we come back, we'll have more about this and other current events on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
I know that I need you now. The key that I won't forget, but you're lost in Paris. You're lost in Paris. Lost in Paris. I hope that you're warm and safe. The memory that I can't replace, but you're lost in Paris. You're lost in Paris. It was over in a day. All the things I used to say, you kept to say. All the places we would go, all the songs we got to know, you held it all. I know that I need you now. The key that I won't forget, but you're lost in Paris. You're lost in Paris. I hope that you're warm and safe. The memory that I can't replace, but you're lost in Paris.
Young, all in love in a lost place. Goddamn, got me running around in a rat race. Say grace, Lord, I fell in love with a small waist. Let me start, yeah, right, yeah, bang, shot me in my heart and it hurt case. She's so fly like a dove, that's a dove face. Don't know where she at now, but this ain't her birthplace. Tom, don't tell her, but it's first for
I know
birthday.
that I need you now. The key that I won't forget, but you're lost in Paris. You're lost in Paris. I hope that you're warm and safe. That I can't replace, but you're lost in Paris. You're lost in Paris. I know that I need you now. The key that I won't forget, but you're lost in Paris. You're lost in Paris. I hope that you're warm and safe. The memory that I can't replace, but you're lost in Paris. You're lost in Paris. I need you now. The key that I won't forget, but you're lost in Paris.
All right, everybody, we are back on this Monday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo Rice, and my correspondent,
Jazz.
All right, so you can introduce that.
Okay, so for everybody who likes Empire, I'm sad to say it's coming
You're
to
not
an
sad. You seem really excited about this. You don't sound sad.
Well, it's coming to an end. They announced it this morning. They announced it this morning with the networks that it had no plans to include Jussie Smollett in the upcoming season. So if you guys already remember, like back in, I think it was February, where he was charged with, I don't know what the charge is called, but the whole issue where he said that he was strangled with the rope and people would make America great hats, all that. So people are really starting to think like, well, is he coming back on the show? What's going to happen? For this season, he did remain on the show, I think. Didn't he?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he came back after his little, I guess, suspension or whatever you want to call it. But he came back. But now we officially know, like, he's not coming back for the final season. So they're going to go out with a big bang. They say it's going to come on a new day on Tuesdays following the medical drama The Resident at 9 p.m. So for all you people who love Empire,
you don't have to say that with such a smile on your face. I actually happen to like Empire.
It's coming to an end. But no, it's just interesting because Empire's coming to an end. The show Star's coming to an end. Steve Harvey's show's getting canceled. So it's like, what's going on in Hollywood? Like, what's going on over there?
Well, now, reciprocally, those are leaving, but Kenan Thompson just got picked up for a show on CBS. So he's getting a show. Cedric the Entertainer has a show on one of those networks
CW.
Is this? No, it's not CW.
That was his old show. It was a show I remember seeing. It was him and was Niecy Nash in that one.
Well, they've had a show together before, but he has a show on it. It's one of the major four. He has a show called The Neighborhood. You still have Blackish. You still have
Shout out to Blackish. I love that show.
You still have the spinoff Grownish. You still have
Grownish, and there's gonna be another spinoff with Bo from Blackish.
Yeah, I saw that too. So I mean, just shows are leaving, but shows are entering as well. Plus, Jordan Peele has the remake of The Twilight Zone, which is a big deal because The Twilight Zone was very big in its day. So that's a big deal. So there are places that are leaving, but reciprocally there are others that are staying. So, you know.
Do you think that they're ending the show because that whole situation with Jesse? I feel like it is. I low key feel like it's like, you know what? Just gonna end the show.
First of all, you're not gonna end the show for one person. That
was a big deal, though. You gotta think everybody was so upset when they saw all that, and then for it to just play out how it did, because like, what happened? Like, he went to court, then he was found not guilty. I don't know. I didn't understand the legal terms. It was just confusing. Okay, like, we don't know what happened.
So here's what happened. Jesse Smollett claimed that he was attacked by two Make America Great Again fanatics. That they beat him up, they tied a noose around his neck, and kind of left him after they beat him. That was the allegations. They went on to say that the two guys that they discovered, that he described, were two, I think they were actual Africans. They were actually some big guys. And they claimed that Jesse paid them to orchestrate this whole debacle. So they had charged Jesse with, I think, 16 counts of something. And they went hard about it for months, only to come back around and say, you know what, we're dismissing all charges. He's been cleared. It is what it is. That's kind of how that happened in a nutshell. Is it off-putting? Absolutely. Because now you're saying, because remember, they were diligent about it. We're not giving up. We're going to get to the bottom of it. He's guilty. This is what we're doing. This is what it is. Only to decide later after the investigation that, well. You know, it was. And that's kind of how it happened. It was like, well, you know.
Touche.
We're going to let it go. We're going to drop all charges. He's fine.
I think he learned his lesson.
Yeah, keep life moving. Keep hope alive. That's kind of how that happened. Empire has had a tricky run. Because the reality is, because I've been a fan, I took a break, but I came back, and it's actually pretty good. I think Empire was one of those shows that they didn't really write an ending, so it's kind of like it kind of goes until it can't go anymore, and I kind of feel like the development of the characters has gotten a little shoddy. And even when you think about Jamal's character, you kind of done all you can do with it. There are plenty of other avenues they could take. I just don't think they're prepared to take them. And keeping in mind that Lee Daniels is part of the LGBT community, I don't know, Jamal's character just wasn't evolving as it should have, in my opinion.
He was still afraid of his dad and all that. Or was that the other one?
That was Jamal, but I mean, everybody's scared of Lucius because Touche is crazy. But it just, even the family dynamic, you know, because even with the way they were going, like at this point, you got Trey. That's the oldest brother. Oh. Is that his real name? That's his real name. On the show, he's Dre. Andre. Dre's getting ready to die. Like, they've given him cancer. Wow. It's pretty much terminal.
I haven't watched it in a while.
They're getting ready to pretty much kill his character off. He's a lion. He's one of the main kids. But at the same token, you introduce a fourth lion. It was a whole... Who
are these people?
They introduced a fourth lion who is Lucius's son that he didn't know anything about. He only discovers this because... I think what is his name? Is it Kyle? I think his name is Kyle. Kyle tries to take down Empire because he knows that Lucius is his father, but Lucius doesn't know that that's his father. So that came into play. the storylines can all, they're at a good place to end it. That's pretty much what it sums up
Well,
to.
Power's coming to an end too. This is going to be his final season. 50 Cent announced that, so.
I mean, again, I don't know if a lot of these shows were designed to go for 7 and
He
and
says
10
he
and
has
15
something
seasons.
else coming out though, but I don't want to watch it because it get on my nerves. But for all you Power fans, that's coming to an end too.
I mean, again, I don't know if a lot of these shows are designed to go 15 and 16 seasons. When you look at a Chandra Rhimes, you look at Grey's Anatomy, there's so many storylines that they could go on, like ER did. I think ER went on for 30 or 40 seasons. Grey's
But you
Anatomy
know
is set
what?
up that way. They
I'm
could go
surprised.
for,
I'm surprised that Blackish was still coming. I was like, well, Yara's going to college. Junior's about to go to college, but then they put a spin on it for us. Junior's taking a gap year. So after like this gap year, what's going to happen? So it's like what you said. I don't think shows are designed anymore to keep going on and on and on and on.
I mean, which is unfortunate. I mean, I guess with Blackish, you could do, you could follow Baby Dre as he grows up and give him a voice like they do Stewie on Family Guy. He's a baby, but he can actually talk and do his experiences. Or I mean, they tackle so many issues though that they could keep, even if it's just Bo and Dre in the house and the grandparents. There's so many issues that they deal with.
Jack and Diane.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's still places they could go, and you could always bring the two older kids back to do so. They could go for another couple of seasons. Even Modern Family, but that's not just limited to African American
That still
shows.
come on?
I think they just either they're ending or they're in their last season.
that's been coming
And
on
Modern
a while.
Family has, I think, 9 to 10 seasons under their belt. They're coming to an end. But sometimes it depends on the writer. I think Chandra always says that before she starts the show, she writes the ending. So Scandal, before it started, had this ending already. I don't know about Grey's, but she said it about Scandal that they knew
still
Scandal was
coming?
only going to run what?
Grey's.
Yes, Grey's is like in its 15th
Okay,
season.
let that one go.
Actually, no.
Please
Grey's is
get
actually
that one.
amazing, so get off it. Get off your
It
soapbox.
has been coming on forever.
And that's fine, but it has a good run and they have great storylines, so it can go forever because it has great storylines and so on and so forth. Plus, they're in a hospital setting, so there's always something
Somebody
they can tackle.
always dying.
Yeah, there's always something they can tackle, some new issue or whatever the case may be. But that is a very good question. Are a lot of the African American shows, how are they written? Are they written in such a manner that they can run for 10 or 11 seasons, or are they written in such a manner that they're intended to be short-lived? Lee Daniels had Star. I tried watching Star. Star just wasn't my thing. It just wasn't my thing. I can't particularly say that it was intended to be gone, to run for a hot minute. It all depends on the writer.
I don't know. I heard a lot of good things about Star. I just don't watch the popular shows like everybody else watches.
What do you? I'm curious. What do you watch? Because you just don't seem like anything. So what do you really watch?
Oh, well, let me give something that y'all should watch. It's called The Act. It's on Hulu. If you don't have Hulu, pull it up on your Fire Stick. But it's based on a true story about this girl named Gypsy Rose and her mama, Dee Dee Blanchard. I think that's their name. Well, the mother suffers from, I don't know how to pronounce the disease, where you intentionally make it seem like there's something wrong with your child and there's nothing wrong with your child. So she was getting all this money, had a house built by Habitat for Humanity, and was telling this girl that, oh, you can't walk. She had the girl in the wheelchair. She had a feeding tube. You suffered from leukemia at one point. For it all not to be true. But there's also a plot twist in it. But it's a very good show. I think it's like 10 episodes on Hulu. So you guys should go give it a shot. It was really good. And like I said, it's based on a true story. And it just makes you think, like, this is what really goes on in this world. Like, it was amazing how they got past all these doctors and nobody thought to stop and do anything. Like, a feeding tube, that's a major surgery, right? Like, y'all.
Is it based on a true story?
Yes, like, we're just going to treat her for leukemia, even though she doesn't have leukemia. Like, that's just amazing to me. Like, that never crossed anyone's mind. You got through all these doctors. This girl is 20. This has been going on since she was 5.
Ooh.
That's wild. That's a little scary. Remember them doctors we were talking about?
The ones they rounded up that were that were doing all kinds of
So
crazy
it's
things.
just like, that's how easy it is to get through to like the medical system.
I mean, again, it's still a TV show.
It's based on a true story. And I watched the like on the show they say like it's exaggerated, but if you watch like the real thing, like they have one on, I don't know what it was on, but I watched it. It's crazy how accurate they got it down to. Like, I thought they were like exaggerating with the girl's voice, but the girl actually talks like that. The actors look just like the people. It was spot on. Like, they said it was exaggerated, but I was like, I don't think this is exaggerated that much. So it was just crazy. But you really should watch it. I was like, wow, they were scamming out here.
What else you watch?
TLC, the Learning Channel, for weddings. I used to like.
I'm actually surprised, given your stance on a lot of things, that you actually watch a wedding.
They
show.
always choose the wackest wedding for the winner. Like, her wedding was lame. But what else do I watch? This Is Us.
I tried watching This Is Us. I don't see what the big buzz is about.
I saw the big buzz about that one. I'm usually like that about a lot of shows. I'm like, I didn't see the big buzz. But This Is Us. My reality TV show, The Real Housewives of Potomac in Atlanta, and I watch a lot of YouTube. That's what I really do. I watch like a lot of YouTube. I don't think I really watch TV like that.
You're so weird.
I think everybody's going down that lane now. Like, they don't.
No,
really
I don't watch YouTube. I'd rather watch. Either
Well,
Hulu
maybe
or
it's my
Netflix.
generation. Maybe that's what it is. Because I know other people who watch YouTube.
You know, just because you know 3 people that watch YouTube does not mean you need generalization. Just because you know 3 people that watch YouTube does not mean it's a phenomenon. Just because 3 of your friends watch YouTube.
No, but yeah, I'm on YouTube usually looking at videos. The
You're such a
Jubilee
weirdo.
videos, you guys should check those out too. They had one with the do all convicted felons think alike. It was a pretty interesting episode. They have nice episodes on there. You're always talking about thinking and looking at the other side. That's a great channel to watch on YouTube, Jubilee. I like it.
Are you done with your shameless plug?
It's not shameless. I don't know. I guess I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch what I like. I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And there's nothing wrong with that.
In any event, so it looks like, okay, so we have the conversation we don't, but there's always a conversation, especially now, about the Earth's resources and how we're using them up. And once we use them up, that's it. Like some of the resources that we have that we take for granted, once they're gone, they cannot be replenished. And apparently helium is on that.
You gonna be able to blow no balloons up.
That's what this article is about, actually. So helium is the second most abundant element in the galaxy. Unfortunately, Party City is struggling to find enough to fill their balloons. The company's mailer balloon sales fell 8% last quarter, dragging overall sales down 1.4% at Party City stores open at least a year ago. The problem with their sales is they don't have enough helium for balloons. Now, that may not seem like a big thing, but for companies like Party City, Hallmark does a lot of balloon blowing, and a lot of other places that do kids' parties, helium is becoming scarce.
I never thought like helium would be one of those things that.
When I saw this article, I was blown away. I was like, so we're running out of helium? How does that work?
What else is helium used for?
That's what I'm
besides
talking about now.
balloons?
So helium is used in balloons. It's used in hot air balloons.
I had taken hot air balloon rides.
You'd be amazed. I mean,
I actually do want to do that though, so I ain't gonna flex on that.
I don't know what the major.
Besides balloons, I can't just name anything off the top of my head
I'm trying
that
to see if
helium
there's
is used
anything
for.
else.
Well, y'all stop blowing up balloons.
Really? But I mean, you gotta think about the impact though. Like I did this because it's an example of the things we take for granted. So us not having helium affects the bottom line for Party City. So now Party City sales are down because they can't blow up balloons. Think about kids parties, and I used to do kids parties for my last company. So when you think about kids parties, it was a big deal to have balloons for a 3 or 4 year old birthday party. So if Party City can't blow up balloons, then you really can't have a lot of kids' birthday parties when you tell them, well, we don't have no balloons. And I mean, you can offer up substitutes, but kids are really big on balloons. Balloons are symbolic of birthdays or significant.
I got one in my car right now from graduation.
Well, I personally hate balloons, but think about how significant balloons are to a lot of businesses. You just said you got balloons on your birthday. You would have felt some kind of way if you didn't have some kind of balloons for your graduation party. It makes a difference. Joseph likes balloons.
I don't think the balloons.
Okay, well, Joseph like balloons, but there are plenty of people. Okay, my twins, they love balloons.
They're little.
They're allowed to my point. And most little kids, most of the time that's when we celebrate a lot of birthdays. It's for little kids. It's having balloons and having birthday parties are symbolic for birthday parties for little small kids. So if devoid of balloons, what else are you gonna use? Nobody likes no. People are accustomed to having balloons for significant hallmark milestones in their lives. Your graduation party, first thing people thought of was get you balloons. When I had my 40th birthday party, okay, well, I won't have balloons. I hate balloons. But like I said, the twins, having balloons is significant for them because they love them. They love to have balloons. They love to see them. They know that they're symbolic, which is interesting because when do kids learn that balloons are synonymous with birthday parties? Who teaches them that? Somehow they get taught that balloons are synonymous with birthday parties. Seems like a very minute thing, but that minute detail, them not being able to utilize helium to blow up balloons, has affected their bottom line. Just want everybody to think about that. When it comes to your business, be mindful of the significant things that if those things go away, it will affect your business. I don't think anybody would have thought that not being able to have helium would affect parties.
What else helium is used?
I mean, I didn't really see anything, but
because I'm like, y'all blowing up that many balloons?
Then you got it's a chain reaction. So think about this: if they're able to find a substitute for helium, imagine how much it's going to cost them. Because you need helium for your balloons, and not having balloons has affected your bottom line. If somebody creates a substitute for helium, imagine how much they're going to charge. And party city's going to have to pay it because they need balloons.
Well, you can't have balloons. That's the moral of the story. But
that is not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is how this is a business chain that not having helium affects Party City's bottom line. Ooh. If a substitute supplier comes up with helium, they're going to charge an arm and leg, which is also going to take their thing. What?
Heliox mixtures is used for respiratory treatments for asthma, bronchitis, and other lung deficiencies. So I think that's more important than some balloons. It's used for MRI magnets. It's used for high-speed internet and cable TV. How that work? I don't know. Your mobile phone, computer, and tablet chips, so we won't be able to text. So, computer hard drives.
All that use helium?
Mm-hmm. Cleaning rocket fuel tanks, so we can't go to the moon. Microscopes. Airbags, so if you get in a car wreck, you better hope that.
Now, wait a minute. Now, some of these things might be derivatives of helium, not necessarily helium in its naked form. Okay. Like when we blow up balloons, I think it's helium in its naked form. A lot of these are probably helium mixtures.
The first one that I named, like the Heliox mixtures and respiratory treatments for asthma, bronchitis, and other lung deficiencies. So that's a big one to me. But yeah, that's made of 79% of helium and 21% of oxygen.
That's significant.
Yeah, a lot of people have asthma and then if you have like the one emphysema, is that what you get from like smoking and all that? Mm-hmm. Well, stop smoking cigarettes.
You know what? When people start roasting you for this, I have nothing to say. Nothing to say.
But no, that one's that's a little more important to me than some balloons. Teach your kids they can have balloons for their birthday.
Oh my God.
We can make other things, but that's a little scary.
Well, the Earth holds pockets of helium buried under rocks, but it's notoriously hard to capture because it floats. Helium floats. When drilling or fracking for natural gas, energy companies capture some helium and sell it. But helium makes up a tiny percentage of gases trapped under rock formations. So over the past few years, some drillers have claimed to find troves of helium buried underground, but those haven't always panned out. Party City said it really started feeling the pinch in August of last year.
Okay, so maybe this is a dumb question. So when we blow up the balloons with our mouth, that's just our mouth and air, right? Or is there like helium in that too? Like,
I mean, that's why your voice changes. Helium has an effect on the body.
Okay.
So when you blow up a balloon, or when you take helium out of a balloon, which is what people do to make the little head voice, when you take helium out of a balloon, then that's when
y'all got to stop doing that too, to save the helium.
I mean, once you bust the balloon, the helium's gone. So, I mean, if we continue to blow up balloons, once we bust them, the helium that was maintaining that balloon is gone.
Oh, well.
And we know that helium does not last. That's why balloons inflate and deflate. So helium, there's a structural integrity to helium that
I was gonna say we're gonna have to start blowing them with our mouths, but we can't even do that. So.
No, because you can blow it with your mouth, but your mouth doesn't. Your air doesn't float. So yeah, it'll just be a full balloon that's sitting on the ground. So yeah, all right. So that was my tidbit on helium. So what you got?
I have a story on a teacher. A Minnesota teacher.
Oh, God. I feel like I'm going to regret
using the N-word in front of middle school students. This is an outbreak again. A Minnesota teacher has been placed on leave after a video showing her using a racial slur while speaking to middle school students went viral, the district said Thursday. St. Paul Public School Superintendent Joe Gothard promised in a statement to take aggressive action after a video was posted online of a teacher, Wendy Brulowski, using the N-word at Highland Park Middle School. Brulowski can be heard saying F, then the N-word in the video, which the district verified was authentic to NBC News. Another staff member says she's repeating what you're saying after the slur was used, but the roughly 20-second video does not show any students speaking prior to Brulowski's comments. The district did not provide more detail on the context of what happened before or after the video was taken, but did confirm the incident occurred during school hours. Brulowski did not immediately respond to requests for comment for the NBC News. And Gothard also apologized in video to the parents, adding that foul and racist language had no place in the district. So at this point, I'm hearing too many stories like this. I think we're doing it for shock value now. And I feel like you think shock value is done in companies usually, but now I feel like it can be done anywhere. Like, what was the point of using the N-word? But apparently, the teacher and a student got into it, but they didn't have good blood prior to this whole incident. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And the mother of the student was like, had I known that it was like this bad between my child and the student, I wish I could have intervened earlier because I don't appreciate what was said to my child. So, what do you think?
I mean, here's the first problem I have with this. We do this a lot, and I talk about this a lot. We give snapshots. So we take one instance out of a whole scenario and we blow up that one instance. I want to know what was actually not even that. What was going on throughout the stretch of this event? Like, was she saying it because she was quoting something, or was she saying it because there's something that precedes it and there's something that succeeds it? We never get that. We get a snapshot. People take things out of context because we only see that one snapshot that's blown up. I want to know what preceded this and what succeeded that, so then I can have a full picture of what was going on.
It's a clip here. I probably should have told Joseph to do it, but in the video it starts off, she immediately says the F word and then the N word, but I'm pretty sure, like you said, something happened before that. So I'm just
people can be vindictive and can take.
Let me cut off this part.
Exactly, and you can do it in seconds, because I do it with our stuff.
You can do it on the iPhone, so yeah.
Okay, I don't know. You through Shapefull. You can do it on Android too. I have the app.
Oh, so I don't know. I know sometimes, like when the video is too long to send to somebody who usually has an Android, I do have to cut it down. So that's how I know you can do that.
Keep your shade. I don't care. But no, like in an instance, you can take something, put it on this app called InShot, cut it up, and show what you want to show. If somebody, you just said there was some bad blood, I don't know between who, but if somebody really wanted to get her, they could do that. We'll record it and then chop it up and only show, what she said. Yeah. But we don't have any confines. We don't know what preceded that or what succeeded that conversation. See, that's the problem. We never know.
That happened because the district did not provide more detail on the context of what happened before or after the video was taken. But they did confirm the incident occurred at school. Well, duh.
Well, again, there lies in the point. We do this a lot. We take snapshots and stuff. Then everybody gets all in the irate. And then you find later on, oh.
So you told her you was going to beat her?
It's like, oh my God, they shot such and such and such. And then you find out they was doing a home invasion or they was having a scuffle and they both had guns. But you only saw him shoot that individual. They didn't show you that both of them had guns. They got into a fight. He just drew his first. We got to stop doing this. We got to stop taking snapshots of things to get people riled up for shock value, which sometimes is good and sometimes bad, because sometimes it is good because it will spark a conversation, but it's bad because now you done roasted somebody and it wasn't even a one-sided conversation. It should have been a two-sided conversation, but we weren't able to have that dialogue because we didn't know what preceded it or succeeded the clip you showed us.
Well, she does
people control the narratives.
Reading on more, Brandy Coleman, the mother of one of the students, told NBC affiliate Kara that the video was boiling point of tensions between Brulowski and her daughter that had been simmering over the course of many months. Her daughter said that Brulowski, we're going to call her Miss B, previously called her and other students Negroes. So, I don't know, maybe something did happen. Now I want to know. I want to see, I want to know more what happened. But I'm like, we can't really do anything with this video. You could have easily cut this part off and started from here and then, let it get a hold of Twitter.
All you got to do is cut it up and put it on Black Twitter, and bam, there you go. Now everybody mad and outraged at something, and we've got to stop not asking questions.
You remember that little boy who got in the cage with the gorilla, Isaiah? You remember that story?
Vaguely.
Black Twitter was going crazy. See, black mamas wouldn't do this. Yada, yada, yada. Kid was black. So, And then, oh my gosh, we didn't know. But it's just like you said,
We gotta stop. We are at a place now where we have to ask questions. When we see clips like this, somebody has to say, hold on. Before we go ham, we need to find out where is the beginning of this video and where is the ending of this video. And then if somebody says, no, that was the whole video, then we can say something. But until we start asking questions, everybody gonna look foolish and crazy because nobody bothers to say what preceded this video and what succeeded this video. I will reserve judgment until I find out what precedes and what succeeds that particular video. Now, the argument will be made, well, she don't have no business saying the N-word. Now, let's hold off on saying that because we've given other ethnicity passes to say certain things.
Whoa, wait. Let me go there. Now, some people still feel that other ethnicities should not say those words. So, I don't think you can just make that a general rule like how you told me that we've given in the past because, that's still a topic.
The better question is, do you feel like African Americans should be using that term? Because we use the N-word.
I don't care about African Americans using that term. My auntie doesn't like the word, but I'm still use it. I mean, I don't like, some people, they just use it like too much. Like they can't go like one sentence without using it, but I don't think I really use it that much. I think the most I use it is in a song when I'm rapping and I want to feel hardcore and I want to feel like I'm the rapper. I'm in here like, yeah. But on an average day, no, that's not really in my vocabulary.
Well, now, that's a very valid question. So with the rise of non-African American rappers
Cardi
and hip hop artists,
because that's who people be talking about. Why Cardi said it?
Cardi, what she said N-word?
Yes.
I would have put her in African American circles.
She ain't black, but okay. But
that was splitting hairs.
With me, personally, I know some people, they get their panties in a bunch when they hear other people say it. I just think it's weird when other people say it. Well, I want to say, I feel like certain races, like, if I hear a white person saying it, it's a little weird to me. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm in an uproar because they used it. But it's just weird to me because I think that's just like a black person. Like, I associate that with my culture. So when I do hear them say it, it's like, y'all just sound weird. But I don't get mad at it.
Well, there lies in the line. Like I said, with the rise of hip-hop and rap culture becoming a global phenomenon, which it really is.
Please tell that to my music teacher from last semester. He said rap has not changed or anything. I was like, do you not realize that pop artists are trying to get rap artists? Like, that's a big thing now.
Well, but that's it. I don't know if they necessarily call themselves rappers anymore. I think they just go by hip-hop artists. I don't necessarily know.
I took offense to it because he was sitting up here just trying to make rap seem like he was down. I'm like, rap is like one of the biggest things out right now.
I think it was your terminology. I don't think they call it rap. I think they call it hip hop.
Well, he was talking about like hip hop in general. Like, I was just like, be quiet. Don't speak on stuff you don't know.
I mean, you really want to believe that, but when I'm at an event and they put on, I don't know these rappers' names, but they put on Lil Yachty. But
no, not even to that extent. He was even talking about back in the day, like Jay-Z and people like that. He don't understand the significance of them.
Well, back in the day, hip-hop culture didn't have the global appeal it does now. I mean, people listen to it, but now we're talking about, when I'm out and about, there are Caucasian kids who can dance it up, rap it up, and recite the lyrics better than I can. I don't even know half the songs that come on. And let alone...
Which was my argument. He was making it seem like, don't nobody care. I'm like, dude. I was like, it's a pretty big thing.
You can see it when you watch TV. Like, I saw a commercial the other day, and it was straight hip hop, and it was for like progressive. And I was like, wait, this is a progressive commercial, and all the music that's in this is all hip hop music. I was actually blown away. I just
want to say I didn't appreciate him saying that. I was like, that's because you stuck in your little ways. You like your one little genre of music, and that's it. Be quiet.
Oh, you made me forget my point. My point was, with hip-hop culture being as big a phenomenon as it is and being embraced by so many other ethnicities, I'm starting to believe that we are going to see an issue with people using the N-word because it's a part of the hip-hop culture.
I feel like people pick and choose who can say that word. Because,
this is very true as well.
Because people some people were in such an uproar about Cardi B using, but I was like, wait a minute. Hasn't Fat Joe used it? If I recall, like, I'm like, he ain't black. So I just feel like people pick and choose who can do stuff and who can't do stuff. So that's why I feel like it all boils down to.
Boils down to what?
That's what I feel like people pick and choose who they want. You can use it, but you can't use it. That's essentially what it is.
Well, I mean, but I guess what I'm saying is if we're saying that nobody, because there are a lot of people that says that nobody should be using the N-word, then if hip-hop culture embraces it, which they typically do, and hip-hop culture is now a ethnical phenomenon that crosses not only just African-American communities, but all kinds of communities, we're probably going to see a rise in people using the N-word, because if we're embracing the hip-hop culture, and that's a part of it, a significant part of the hip-hop culture, I mean,
Yeah.
we're probably gonna see a rise in this kind of stuff, because if I'm rapping your song and the N word happens to be in the song, and I know the song word for word, and I'm doing it at home, and I'm with my homies.
You know what? That's what happened with the girl at the Kendrick Lamar concert. He brought her on stage and she said the N word, but I was just like, "Well, Kendrick, what did you expect? Did you really think she was gonna get up there and be like?" And then just start rapping? I was just like, I'm pretty sure when she's at home, like you just said, she be going in her room.
I mean,
so I was just like, well, what did you expect? But Charlamagne actually gave him Ducky the other day for that, I think. But I was just like, some things you gotta expect.
And I mean, it doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just we wanted certain things to happen. Those things have happened, but there are repercussions that comes with those things. So either y'all gonna have to stop using the N-word in y'all rap, because when you do the statistical math, I don't even think it's African Americans that really support hip hop culture when it comes to buying records and stuff. I don't think it's us anymore. So if you're going to allow them to buy your music and encourage them to purchase your music, then either you gonna have to stop using the N-word, or we gonna have to decide who can't use the N-word at this point. On that note, we're gonna take a break. And when we come back, we have more on this on current events on Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
She don't play, and she my type. She got brains and them tatas. She that lady, she gon' dance, ain't gon' touch her phone. She gon' let it smoke, man. She don't play, and she my type. She got brains and them tatas. She that lady, she gon' dance, ain't gon' touch her phone. She gon' let it smoke, man. I like girls that dance, know how to move. Not just they friends, but with my dudes. Cause you look so fly, and you look so cute. Can I make you mine? What you wanna do? Yeah. She don't play and she my type. She got brains and I'm tight. She that lady. She gon' dance, ain't gon' touch her phone. She gon' live this moment. She don't play and she my type. She got brains and I'm tight. She that lady. She gon' dance, ain't gon' touch her phone. She gon' live this moment. I like girls that dance and how to move, not just stay friends. But with my dude, cause you look so fly, and you look so fly, and you look so cute. Can I make you mine? What you wanna do, yeah. She gon' let this moment, she don't play. She gon' touch her phone, nah. She got them ta 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 ta. I like good that day, and then I got that moon. Nah, we're different. Sweet baby, da 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 da. Sweet da, scat, bap da, crazy shit, da da, beat da, ready. Them girls that dance, they just got to move, not just stay friends, but with my dude. Cause you look so fly, and you look so fly, and you look so cute. Can I make you mine? What you wanna do? Yeah. How many times do I have to tell you?
All right, everybody, welcome back to this Monday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice, and my correspondent,
Just Jazz.
All right, so when we left, we were talking about how did we even get there?
How did we get there? Oh, the teacher using the N-word.
Oh, yeah. So in the conclusion, I just said that if the hip hop culture is being embraced and it is wildly around the world, and at the core of the hip hop culture, there is a bad tendency to use the N word nonchalantly. If other ethnicities are embracing this culture, then either we're gonna have to decide who just cannot say the N word, or we're gonna have to accept the fact that it's gonna happen because it's a part of the culture. It's a part of the music. When you're rapping and you use the example about Kendrick Lamar and then I guess the non-African American girl he brought on stage, and she rapped the lyrics and the lyrics had the N word in it. I'm sure she was not conscious that she was using the N word. She enjoyed the music. It wasn't like she was blatantly calling the whole crowd a bunch of N's. She was rapping the music, which apparently she was into, and it's a part of the lyrics. So either y'all got to take the N word out of the lyrics, or we're going to have to defensively decide who cannot use the N word. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. All right, so... Wait, you want to go first?
You can go.
Well, mine's longer.
Yeah, go.
Oh, good grief. All right, so in a interesting twist, and I really wanted to get into this last week, but we couldn't because we ran out of time. So, the co-founder of Facebook, yes, despite what people believe, there were co-founders of Facebook. Yeah, I really want to give some Simone's here, but we didn't get to. We kind of talked about it. The co-founder, Chris Hughes, on last Thursday, came forth and said he feels like they should split up Facebook and like they would do any other monopoly. And he's concerned that Facebook has pretty much grown too big and that he feels like the government should step in and force Facebook to section itself off if you do. Now, mind you, there is a government office that's job is to make sure that their monopolies do not exist in specific fields. What do I mean when I say a monopoly? A monopoly is a company or organization that monopolizes or takes over the entire market that they are in. So in this particular case, Hughes is saying that in the social media world, Facebook has become a monopoly, and that just like with any other monopoly in any other field, it should be dismantled or should be sectioned off to break up the monotony or break up the monopoly is pretty much what he's saying. Now, mind you, I'm sure everybody was just surprised as I am to remember that Facebook was co-founded.
Okay.
I'm sure most people didn't even remember that Facebook was co-founded, because when you think of Facebook, you think of Mark Zuckerberg. You do not think of anybody else. You darn sure don't think of Chris Hughes. I don't even know who that is. So the mere fact that he has come forth now to say, hey, they should make this move, many people are saying he's just bitter and scorned that Facebook has become bigger than what he thought it was going to be. Now, mind you, Chris left in, let me see when he left.
Oh, he left?
Yeah, he's not around. He hasn't been active in Facebook's, movements in a number of years. It's been 15 years since he co-founded Facebook at Harvard, and he has not worked at the company in a decade. But he said, I feel a sense of anger and responsibility at about how big Facebook has become. Now, mind you, Facebook has had a lot of issues lately with privacy issues, with racial discrimination issues, things of that magnitude. Also, remember, Facebook is comprised of Instagram, the WhatsApp thing, and I think it has, there's one more, it's 3 of them. So it's really comprised of other apps as well. Facebook is the overarching lab. But, yeah. So, I mean, what's your thoughts?
I feel like the only reason that this came up is because they have been receiving so much backlash, and I feel like he thinks it's overwhelming. So he's like, let's do this. But then you just said he stepped away from Facebook like 10 years ago. So does that mean he has no involvement with Facebook whatsoever, or?
Pretty much. I think he walked away with $500 million. Oh,
I would have said
which I'm sure brought his interest. Which I'm sure brought his interest. But let's look at it. I mean, Facebook is a social network that has over 2 billion users. It also owns WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram. Each one is also used by 1 billion people. So, and Facebook brought Instagram in 2012 and WhatsApp in 2014. This has come up before, and it is for me, it is a genuine concern, because if you look at it, Facebook is a monopoly. Who can compete with Facebook at this point in the social media world? They brought a lot of their competition what would be their competition. Instagram was purchased in 2012. I don't really know. I've heard of WhatsApp, but I don't really know what it is.
I didn't use that until I went down to Miami. But it's like a little, you know what GroupMe is?
Yeah.
That, essentially. So if you can make calls with that one, WhatsApp.
Oh, well, they brought out WhatsApp. The only thing that's left is you can use Snapchat, which I don't think has a fraction of the users. What else can you use that can rival Facebook to do the things to interact at the level that Facebook interacts? Because in order to have a monopoly, that really becomes the question. A monopoly becomes a question when you don't have any other options. So it's like if you were in, I'll say South Carolina, and South Carolina only has one power company. That's a monopoly because who else can give them competition? That's only that one electric company that provides electricity for that entire city or that entire state. That's a monopoly because what happens with a monopoly is now you can charge whatever you want and people have to pay it because they don't have any other options. So that is the question for a monopoly. So we have to ask those same monopoly questions of Facebook. What else can you use as an alternative to Facebook?
I don't know what else you can use, but I was thinking the next biggest social media to me, I would think is YouTube, but you can't use YouTube how you use Facebook.
The interface is not the same.
But
so, when you think about stuff like that, in that regard, Facebook technically is a monopoly, and monopolies are technically illegal because, again, it forces people to utilize your products regardless of how much you charge or how much it is. Now, reciprocally, Facebook doesn't charge us. Is that a necessary variable to decipher whether it's a monopoly? But in ideology, it is a monopoly. Now, I have my theories on why Chris decided to come forth. At this point, because Facebook has been on the road to be a monopoly for years. We're kind of here now, but it's been on the road to become a monopoly for years. So why are you coming forward now, player? What is
$1 billion running up?
You look.
Is that what it is?
It never said that he was doing anything else on the level of Facebook. So, now let's look at it from Chris' point of view. If Facebook is broken up, there were other co-founders of Facebook. Who's to say they're not working on something in their garage? And if the government decides to break Facebook up, there's an open window. Because now you got to dismantle certain aspects of Facebook so somebody else can swoop in and say, oh, well, they no longer offer instant messenger, but we do. We're ready. We got it. We've done the interface. It's ready to rock and roll. So who's to say that Chris Hughes isn't working on something that there's a specific part of Facebook he wants dismantled so he can offer up his product? Who's to say that? Secondly, who's to say that Chris Hughes isn't in cahoots with some of the other co-founders and they don't come up with something that can rival Facebook?
They planning to throw them.
Who's to say they're not staging? Well, you can't stage a coup if you're not a part of the company. But who's to say they're not staging a coup? That they just waiting in the wings, and if they can get the government to dismantle Facebook, they have something that's ready, willing, and ready to go to rival Facebook. Who's to say? Or maybe Chris is legitimately concerned that Facebook is too big and that it should be dismantled.
I was going like a little left while I was like, maybe he's planning to like try to revamp MySpace.
What?
For the culture. That would be so dope though. Like what if MySpace?
Didn't somebody buy MySpace?
Didn't Justin Timberlake try to do it? And
I think somebody brought MySpace.
But that would be so cool. Like if MySpace just came back up.
Well, now, MySpace never left. It's more, I think, more so music now. But that's kind of null and void because we have SoundCloud. So it's kind of like,
I don't know. Somebody come revamp MySpace for the culture.
Really?
That could be Facebook's rival because that would just be very interesting. Take us back to 2005 for the culture.
It would be the same because our needs have changed. So even if they brought MySpace back, we're so accustomed to the interface that Facebook has introduced us to. Unless MySpace is going to be a version of Facebook.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do something like that. You would say, like,
you know how much money it would take?
Well, you know what? I'm just trying to throw ideas out there.
I'm just saying. Do you know how much money it would take to create the kind of software?
No, I don't. I
don't. A lot. So, like I said, I mean, the question is, do we genuinely think that Chris Hughes has a legitimate concern about the welfare of the people, and that's why he came forth? Or do we think he's being a creep and he has an alternative motive and he's just trying to get the government to help him execute that alternative motive?
I think, like I said, had Facebook not been having all these issues with the government, whatever it is, every time I turn around, Facebook's in trouble. I don't think he would care. Like, if none of this was popping up, I don't think he would care. He would sit in the corner with his little $1 billion and be happy.
$500 million.
Oh, I thought you said $1 billion.
No, I think it was $500 million. They give me $500 million.
Okay, we'll sit in the corner with your $500 million and be happy. That's what I think will happen.
I'm just saying. Like I said, so that is the question to all my Facebook and Instagram people that are watching the live feed.
Simone, give us the answer.
I know. Or Simone. Shouts out to Simone who's MIA today. She had something she had to do. Love for Simone. But yeah, Simone, your boys over at Facebook are wilding out.
Trouble.
They're wilding out over at Facebook.
Always in trouble.
So now
that's why you should get Twitter.
Up, and really? Really? That's who you went with that? So yeah. So that's there you have it. So there you go. All right. So what you got?
So the officers in I Can't Breathe death faces disciplinary trial. So this is the case with the man by the name of Eric Garner. If you guys remember back in July 2014, can you believe it's been that long? July 2014.
Yeah, because we always looking for a new cause. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
I could have sworn that happened while I was in college, but needless to say, that was the video where we saw the officer apparently choking Eric Garner. He was screaming, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." Well, now he is being accused of using a banned chokehold in the death of Eric Garner and is being made a scapegoat in a politically charged atmosphere, a defense lawyer said on Monday. The video evidence shows Officer Officer D used an approved technique
you
for
know how to
restraining.
pronounce names and stop just giving people initials.
Well, Pantaleo. Officer Danielle Pantaleo used an approved technique for restraining Gardner. Attorney Stuart London said at the officer's disciplinary hearing, adding that the officer feared for his life when he felt Gardner was trying to push him towards a plate glass window. Okay. Gardner was the unarmed black man whose pleas of "I can't breathe" became a rallying cry against the police brutality. However, London said it's a misconception that the phrase was uttered when the officer's hands were around Gardner's neck. It happened, he said, when the officers were trying to handcuff Gardner. "We know he wasn't choked out because he is speaking," London said. Emergency medical technicians casually strolled up to the scene without oxygen or other measures that could have helped Gardner, who was so medically fragile that even a bear hug might have led to the same consequences, the lawyer said. The only one that did their job that day, I would submit, is Officer Pantaleo. So his lawyer is saying that he didn't do anything wrong and you guys are just trying to crucify him. And now that I'm looking at this article, it's being the way that it's written. I don't know if you could tell the tone is very negative. Like, do you feel that way too? That's what I'm getting from, like, oh, well, these are the lawyer's words. So yeah, the lawyer's riding or dying for Pantaleo.
He's gonna do that for his client.
But I can get like the way he's talking. But since that happened, he's a desk duty officer, and I just found out what they do, and I think that's kind of funny and sad at the same time. Like, he doesn't get to go out in the field. He sits behind a desk and he just types on a computer, I think.
Yeah, but make no mistakes about it, he's still getting his pay.
Okay, he's still getting paid.
He's still getting his pay.
Okay, but it's not cool to say I'm a desk duty officer. Like, that's not
nobody
cool.
cares about cool. It's about due process, and
it's just funny. I think that's a funny term. But
what?
That's a desk duty.
Why am I getting a head voice from you all day today? What is that head voice?
That's funny. Like,
I'm surprised you've never heard people say desk duty. They do it all the time.
I've never heard of that. So you sit at the desk and you type in things. You don't go out in the field. You've been demoted. That's what it seems like. But you say he still get paid.
He still get paid. I'm sure.
But the term for it is funny. But I think
actually no. Let me spin this on you because I need you to get a different perspective on this. So imagine this way, because you're thinking about it the wrong way. Imagine it this way. So you get paid a certain amount of money to do a specific job. Now, as punishment, we're telling you you're not getting, or as a deterrent from bad behavior, we're telling you you're not doing that specific job that you're getting paid to do, which is a dangerous job. So now we're putting you on lighter duty, but we're keeping your pay the same. That's how I need you to look at it.
Okay, yeah, I know that. I am looking at it like that. I just thought the term was funny, like you're a desk duty officer. Ha. Now, I know that's not cool with people looking on the outside, like you're still getting paid the same amount of money.
And you're not having to risk your life like you normally would do in the field.
Yes. Like, I know that's how people are looking at it. You are making it into that is not how I meant for it to come across people.
I'm just saying.
That is not how. I just thought that it was. I was just saying desk duty, like, you're desk duty. You've been demoted. Like, picking on him. Like, that's what it's. But, of course, the bigger issue, like, you're still getting paid, but you're not in the field. So, I thought this case was, I think this is an interesting story because now we talked about the last week with Sandra Bland and how the video evidence came about and it's like things are just never done the proper way in the people's eyes. And so that's why I thought the whole story was interesting. Not that it was bad about the whole, the death duty thing, that it's good for him to do that. I just thought the term was funny, Mr. Ricardo.
I'm just saying, I'm just,
Goodness gracious. You was trying to have people come for my throat.
Whatever, you're so dramatic. God, you're so
No, you know how we were just talking about it. People will take a clip, and then next thing you know, you texted me, you all over Black Twitter. That's exactly what would have happened.
I don't know, but the day you're on Black Twitter, you would have officially made it, and I would have to bow down. I would absolutely have to bow down to you.
That's exactly what would have happened.
Absolutely made it.
Just putting that out there.
Okay, I'm just saying.
You were setting me up for the kill.
Just saying. What are your thoughts? I don't
think anything is gonna happen because they're talking about he could face penalties ranging from the loss of vacation days to firing if he's found to have violated the department rules. So vacation days, really? Vacation days. I don't see the firing happening. I think we've seen one case where somebody's been fired or tried in court or something and it actually happened, but outside of that one person, have we seen much going on?
Well, my bigger concern about this. The more we see it, the more outraged people are going to become, especially when it's one particular group of people being targeted, which in this case is minorities, specifically mostly African Americans. We've seen history kind of prove that when people feel like they're backed in the corner, things can go left. And I feel like that's where we're fastly approaching, that if this is continuously being seen, which it should be because it's an injustice, but if this is consistently being seen and, seeds being planted into people's psyche to feel like they're being targeted by a group of people that are supposed to be protecting them, this can go bad real quick. And I feel like we're fastly approaching that. If people feel like, hey, I can't even walk out my front door and the people that are supposed to protect me are going to attack me, it can lead to a lot of things that we really don't want. It can lead to civil unrest, and not the good kind, or them taking a stand and saying, well, since you want to beat us, we're going to beat you. I don't want to see that. We got to be very careful with this because we can get there real fast, especially in a society where people can control narratives. And that's what we were talking about, when people can take a clip of something and show you.
We saw you trying to control mad.
Whatever. Where people can show a clip of something and cut out what precedes it and succeeds it and show just that clip to get a certain rise out of people. And we know it works. We've seen it work. So I just think we're riding on a slippery slope and that we need to be very careful. But before we leave, I want to talk about one of the legislations that Kemp has signed into legislation. I will say that he's been extremely aggressive. I've never seen a new governor come in and sign so much legislation. Like we saw the heartbeat bill.
What else he did?
We had the heartbeat bill, which is still just happening. People are really in outrage about that. There were some other bills that were passed. I can't think off the top of my head. But this one was actually pretty interesting. So, New Georgia law protects renters from being evicted for complaining about problems like mold, rats, and bugs. It's a retaliation measure that says that if I complain or if I take my complaint to another level, you cannot evict me. You cannot retaliate against me by evicting me out of my apartment because I called you out for being a slumlord. I didn't know that was a thing, but I can see it. And it's called House Bill 346, and it passed into law on Wednesday. Supporters of it say that it empowers renters to remain in their homes and punish landlords who don't fix housing problems. Under the new law, landlords who wrongfully try to evict tenants are responsible for paying them 1 month's rent plus $500 and legal costs. In essence, Representative Sharon Cooper is saying this is giving people who are in the worst circumstances just a little bit of standing. And that came from State Representative Sharon Cooper, a Republican from Marietta who sponsored the bill. It sends a message that we're not going to tolerate unhealthy housing conditions. And apparently, we're joining 41 other states who have similar laws against retaliatory evictions. Like I said, I didn't know it was a thing, but hey, I'm about that life because you should not have fear of retaliation for talk about deplorable living conditions. I should not have to worry about being evicted because I told you about my conditions in my apartment. You do nothing about it. So I go above your head and call the Better Business Bureau or the Housing and Urban Development. I should not have to worry about being evicted. And that's what this bill says. Now, of course, we know with bills, the bottom line becomes is how you going to prove it. But hey, if you have a paper trail, let this be a lesson. This is free. I'm throwing it out there for free for all the people listening who are dealing with slumlords. Make a paper trail so that if you do decide to go over the leasing officer's heads or over the owner's heads, show the paper trail that you made a valid claim that these things were going on in your apartment or in your housing or whatever the case may be, and nobody did anything about it. So as a result, you had no alternative but to go to higher powers. So that if it does come down to them evicting you and you have a clean record, you can show proof to say, no. This is the paper trail of me telling you I was living in deplorable conditions. You refused to do anything about it. Your actions forced me to do my actions. And as a result, here we are. So you evicted me based on retaliation when you don't have just cause. That was free. I just want to give it to you. Jazz, what are your final thoughts?
Kim, this is not going to release people from getting their own foot off your neck about the heartbeat bill. That's my thoughts on it. That's literally my thoughts. He tried to slide that in there. Okay, let me give him a little something.
I mean, but it goes back to your point about Kim Kardashian and criminal reform. Does it matter who does it? As long as it gives people a legal foot to stand on.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, Kim, but that's what you thought you was doing with this one. You might want to go back to the drawing board. You don't give
nobody credit today, but it's okay. You just don't give nobody credit today.
Who have I not given credit to?
I'm just saying you don't give nobody credit.
Who have I not given credit to?
Or maybe that was me. I didn't want to give people credit.
That was you. I have
maybe
not.
That was me. Okay, fine. Maybe it was me. So on that ending note, again, I think I read about legislation and we talk about it, but it's very few of them that I'd be like, you know what, that's a good champion for the people bill. And I think this is a good champion for the people bill. And I agree with Representative Cooper that this is a good standing for people who are living in deplorable conditions. You no longer have to worry about, oh my God, if I say something about my roach-infested apartment complex, they're going to put me out. You no longer have to worry about that. Now you can put the slumlord's neck. You can put your foot on their neck and actually, stand your ground. And you have this bill, HB 346, to back you up. So on that note, we will see you guys on Friday. Also, go to the Now Network for those that do not live in the specific markets, particularly those in Atlanta. If you want to see my TV show, you're going to go to thenownetwork.org. It'll be streaming at 3:30 for other people that are in significant markets where it's actually on the cable channels. South Carolina, Florida, Los Angeles, I think Missouri's one, Detroit. You can see me on your television screens on the Now Network at 3:30. Check your local listings for times, depending on where you are for time zones. And outside of that, check out ricecommunity.com. That's Rice with a W to see what we have going on. For those that have not gotten your tickets, June the 1st is the first nonprofit summit, women's edition. We have great people, great women, ranging from politicians to business association presidents to spiritual leaders, all that great stuff. Ricecommunity.com to get your tickets. It's going to be televised, and we have a lot of great things in store for you on that front. And again, we'll see you on Friday, same time, same place on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
IBNX Radio.